This reading will be for Aquarius. So there we have the light card, the Tower, and the shadow card, the King of Swords. Let's see what we have to say about this. The Tower, that's number 16. The lightning-struck tower, also known as the House of God, the Hospital, or the Thunderbolt, is one of the oldest and most consistently reproduced images in tarot. The origins of the image go back to the Middle Ages, where there are numerous references to towers broken down by God's lightning, sometimes followed by scenes depicting the expulsion of human beings from paradise. It also reflects the fascination of the medieval world with the story of the Tower of Babel, which became a symbol of the desire of powerful rulers to control more of the world around them and reminded them of the results of pride and hubris. The card is generally seen as portending a difficult time, but it is important for us not to always assume the worst in tarot reading or in any part of life, but rather to see beyond the immediate and darker events to a place where calmer seas await us. In the mirrored card, we see the remains of the tower still standing. Its denizens may seem ghostly, but they have not fallen to dust. And the light reading meaning is many of the earliest references to this card suggest the tower is home of the devil, so that the breaking of it is actually seen as the destruction of evil. Seen from this viewpoint, the divinatory meaning is more positive. Sometimes we must face painful and seemingly destructive events in order for the path to be cleared, and unwanted aspects of our lives must be broken down in order to allow fresh growth. The lightning which strikes the tower may also be understood as a positive force of energy or creativity breaking out of the old carapace of stale and outworn things, and of cleansing by fire. The earlier title for this card, the Hospital, makes this even clearer. A hospital can indeed be seen as a fearful place, yet it is also a place where healing, sometimes after painful procedures, results. And that's for the Tower card. Then we have the King of Swords. And the King of Swords says, traditionally, the King of Swords is described as an advisor, a powerful supporter and guide. He may be someone of high rank in a business organisation, a senior churchman or a commander in the armed forces. As such, he is a person whose authority is seldom challenged, though this does not of course mean that he is always right. At his most powerful, he can represent the drive of ambition and intensity of achievement. And the shadow reading meaning is, with two swords in hand, the Shadow King can seem overwhelming. His face is hidden in both light and shadow realms, making him an implacable foe to those whom he sees as working against you. At the same time, he may appear in the guise of a fearsome father figure who may bring fresh problems as he solves others. And that's for Aquarius. This reading will be for Scorpio, and we have the Nine of Cups and the Nine of Serpents. Lucky number 9. Is 9 your lucky number? Let's see what the book has to say. Here you find cups dispensing wisdom from a cornucopia of truth, gathered on the journey to this point. Two powers, worldly and otherworldly, struggle for our attention, causing our humanity to feel diminished in the face of spiritual responsibility. Because the card also traditionally represents our heart's desire, we must tread carefully if we are not to lose our sense of direction. Remember that good fortune can sometimes isolate us. And it's the light card for the Nine of Cups, so it says, we may find a successful outcome here, a renewal of energy and a gift of solving problems. Fulfillment of our deepest hopes is in sight, but this can be tempered by a delight in pleasure of winning for its own sake. This can unbalance us if we are not careful. So that's for the light card, the Nine of Cups. Now we have the Nine of Serpents. This says, this is the card of fruition, of reaching a good and happy conclusion. All the work you have put in finally pays off. Life is happy, balanced and productive. Money is plentiful and relationships are solid and filled with delight. Spiritually, this is a card suggesting you have reached a place of maturity and that your deepest desires are fulfilled. The road has been long, but the arrival at the journey's end is all that you wished for. And the shadow reading for the Nine of Serpents says, energy buzzes in you like electricity. The tangled roads seem open, trees and grass and clouds sing to you. It is time to enjoy the world and feel content with all that has come to pass. Your business should flourish and fresh opportunities open. You should be feeling proud and happy. There you go. That's nice, isn't it? For Scorpio. This will be for Capricorn. We've got the Fool. And we have the Knight of Swords. So let's see what the Fool has to say for itself. The Fool dances through life, following his own path, caring nothing for the judgment or expectations of others. Careless of obstacles, his song is all that matters to him, making him blissfully unaware of what lies before him. He believes in himself above all, though his nature can easily change and his reflection in the mirror is not always the same. Here are two fools, light and dark, representing two different kinds of journey, two different levels of reality, two paths to choose between. Should we as fools remain on the path of light, seeking the radiance of the sun to illuminate our path? Or should we follow the path of shadow, illuminated by the moon and experiencing the more sensitive realizations and mysteries this may bring? Perhaps neither of these is what we need. Perhaps we will move from one path to another, weaving a journey between dawn and twilight. Whichever path we follow, the fool's truths are the same, but the influences of the path taken reflect the nature of our own journey, both inner and outer. And that's the card from the light deck. So it says, sun lights the fool's road, but if the light is too strong it can burn. He is unaware of the flower behind him on the path, but it may tell him much, for flowers have meanings of their own. Here it is the symbol of the power of allurement that summons us to follow our dreams. The dog that accompanies us can be both an obstacle and a playful guide, tripping us up or representing something we are drawn to that prevents us from following our destiny. But below the edge of the cliff, gulls fly, representing freedom, telling us the abyss is only in our minds. Now we'll go to the Knight of Swords, which is the shadow card. The Knight of Swords is a good person to have on your side in a tight spot, yet he can be ruthless and determined and knows no boundaries. There is a sense of innocence about him also, and he possesses great integrity. These qualities may be present in the issue you are concerned with, and apply just as much to your own actions. The Knight often emphasizes righteous indignation. Writers, journalists and researchers are often represented by this card. And it's the shadow card, so the reading for that says, the Knight is a willing champion, possessed of integrity and ethical insight, who feels righteous indignation over wrongs he sees. He has the courage and strength to tackle anything, be it a windmill or a serpent. His shadow self knows what's what and is less impulsive than his light aspect. And that's for Capricorn. Here we go. I'll start with Sagittarius, since I'm a Sagittarius. Let's see what the cards have to say. That's the light card, and that's the shadow card. And we've got the Six of Cups. So what does the Six of Cups have to say? The meaning of this card is powerfully connected with nostalgia, often seen as looking back to childhood. Sometimes this act shows us things that are disturbing or shocking. Things we think we remember in one way turn out to be very different in reality. It is also, as noted in the Five of Cups, deeply connected with men's business, with male society and rites of passage. It also reflects courage, strength of purpose and sincerity. And the card itself, when presented in the light reading, means the meaning in this card is so sharp and clear that it is a true mirror of itself when viewed in either the light or shadow realms. To return to past experiences often exposes them as less positive than we may remember, possibly causing trauma. You may need to dig deep to find your strength. And that's the Six of Cups. So then we move on to the shadow card, which is number 17, Stars. Let me just find that. Here we go, the stars. The influence of the stars upon us is a thing of legend. Countless generations have felt this, steering a course by their guidance in matters of the heart, as mariners steer by their presence in the vault of heaven to find harbour. Most decks today represent a figure with two jars pouring water into a stream. She is generally identified as Aquarius, the water carrier, but in earlier decks, the iconography identified her with the morning star, Lucifer or Venus, or the Star of Bethlehem. In the Bologna Tarot tradition, the three kings, Caspar, Melchior and Balthazar, are portrayed bringing their gifts to the Christ child under a blazing star. In the 18th century, the symbology underwent a further change. Court de Gobelin identified it with Sirius, the dog star, and the figure with Isis. But in each instance, the meaning applied to the card remained more or less the same. It was a universal sign of hope, either in the form of the morning star, or the prophetic star of Bethlehem, or the beneficial influence of Sirius and the goddess, in each case giving forth the water of life. Here we have shifted the emphasis away from the goddess to the stars themselves, whose medium she is. And with it being the shadow card, its meaning is, at twilight, the stars begin to appear to the naked eye. They offer all the vigour and determination that momentous decisions warrant, putting you at centre stage, the start of your own life. The stars represent a moment of opportunity when you can make the right choice at the right time without fear of mistakes. From the centre of your being, in a place of calm, you can look into a world lit by starlight and see with clarity everything around you. And that's for Sagittarius. This reading will be for Pisces. And we have the Devil and the Tower. Oh, two very powerful cards. The Devil. Let's see what we have to say about that. Rather, as the Christian Church used the figure of the fallen angel Lucifer as a peg on which to hang every possible manifestation of evil, so in the tarot card of the Devil, the central figure has nearly always been represented as a monstrous deformed creature. Before the Devil ousted all earlier creatures of darkness and negativity, the image was probably a representation of Typhon, the vast dragon monster of classical myth who emerged from the underworld brandishing a flaming torch and bringing disaster in his wake. More recently, following the esoteric revival of the 19th century and the blossoming of pagan beliefs in our own time, the devil has become identified with the god Pan, spirit of nature and carefree abandonment, and as such has been deemed a positive influence rather than an evil one. Yet, despite this, the essential meaning has not changed. In whatever form he comes, the devil brings connotations of self-aggrandizement, or, if we think of him in terms of magic, as the black magician whose aim is only to raise power for himself, rather than the white magician who seeks to raise power to help others. Our devil has an air of insouciance, casually inverting the flame in his shadowed self. And the light reading meaning is the central meaning of this card revolves around deceit, lies and trickery, all aspects of devilish influence. Almost always the card represents either the reader or someone close to him or her who is self-serving and will do anything to get their way, to rise to the top of the heap, to seem important. It is the fantasy of childhood, self-aggrandizement transferred to the adult, and it can be very destructive. If it represents you, it indicates that you like to break the rules to fulfill your own desires, irrespective of how this may affect others. Essentially, it is about fear and self-love, which in general terms means that whoever feels this is unable to relate properly to anyone else. But its other meaning suggests total rebellion, turning away from established patterns, enabling us to seek our true selves. We may note the two entwined male and female devils at the base, reflecting the lovers here, is in bondage to their desires. And that's the devil. And the Tower, next to the devil, two major arcana cards for Pisces. The lightning-struck Tower, also known as the House of God, the Hospital or the Thunderbolt, is one of the oldest and most consistently reproduced images in tarot. The origins of the image go back to the Middle Ages, where there are numerous references to towers broken down by God's lightning, sometimes followed by scenes depicting the expulsion of human beings from paradise. It also reflects the fascination of the medieval world with the story of the Tower of Babel, which became a symbol of the desire of powerful rulers to control more of the world around them, and reminded them of the results of pride and hubris. The card is generally seen as portending a difficult time, but it is important for us not to always assume the worst in a tarot reading or any part of life, but rather to see beyond the immediate and darker events to a place where calmer seas await us. In the Mirror card, we see the remains of the tower still standing. Its denizens may seem ghostly, but they have not fallen to dust. And the shadow reading meaning is the immediate response to drawing this card in a reading may seem shocking, depending on the circumstances, but it is important to remember that change is not always a bad thing, and that the lightning strike may represent a flash of insight or inspiration which can lead to a reassessment of your life path, beliefs or intentions, as well as a painful readjustment or something that requires confrontation before peace can result. None of these things are necessarily easy, but if we allow the fire to consume the tower in which we have established ourselves, the outcome can be both positive and restorative. So there you go, the devil and the tower for Pisces. This reading will be for Libra. So we have Temperance, and we also have the devil. So, two major arcanas. Let's see what Temperance has to say. Is Temperance tossing out the contents of a wine glass or a vessel full of snakes? In the world of dawn light, it is the former, in twilight, the latter. but both are filling a much larger cauldron with either content. Here lies an issue which makes this card perhaps the least well understood in our time because of its association with refraining from alcohol or excess. Yet we should remember that she is another of the 4 cardinal virtues, and of course means a great deal more than this, being more concerned with a balanced outlook on life and a restrained way of living. The origin of the word is the Latin temperare, meaning to exchange or mingle. Hence the traditional tarot image is of a woman pouring liquid from one vessel into another, while here we have made another twist on the original by replacing water and wine with wine and serpents. Even in the classical imagery, the meaning is more to do with the exchange of liquids, the mingling of 2 streams of energy, or even past and future influences, all to provide great balance. Temperance thus represents a balanced view of life as capable of renewal even in the darkest circumstances. And the light reading meaning is, this card is all about moderating your behaviour, living your life temporally, balancing the past and future streams of activity, and learning to approach problems with due care and attention, rather than rushing in and meeting every challenge aggressively. Imbalances in the body create the right conditions for illnesses and disease to flourish, so that living a balanced lifestyle is all important. In a reading, the card may indicate that you need to address this aspect of your life, or confirm that you are already living in harmony with yourself and the universe. It also points to the wisdom of keeping things moving, of allowing a good exchange of ideas and feelings in any situation, whether work or love related. And that's temperance. Then we have the devil. Rather, as the Christian Church used the figure of the fallen angel Lucifer as a peg on which to hang every possible manifestation of evil, so in the tarot card of the devil, the central figure has nearly always been represented as a monstrous deformed creature. Before the devil ousted all earlier creatures of darkness and negativity, the image was probably a representation of Typhon, the vast dragon monster of classical myth who emerged from the underworld brandishing a flaming torch and bringing disaster in his wake. More recently, following the esoteric revival of the 19th century and the blossoming of pagan beliefs in our own time, the devil has become identified with the god Pan, spirit of nature and carefree abandonment, and as such has been deemed a positive influence rather than an evil one. Yet, despite this, the essential meaning has not changed. In whatever form he comes, the devil brings connotations of self-aggrandizement, or if we think of him in terms of magic, as the black magician whose aim is only to raise power for himself, rather than the white magician who seeks to raise power to help others. Our devil has an air of insouciance, casually inverting the flame in his shadowed self. And the shadow reading meaning is, some will recognise in themselves the feeling that they are too perfect to find anyone who can reach their impossibly high standards. Others are simply afraid to acknowledge that anything or anyone is more important than their own personality. It is all too easy to become trapped by this narrow self-delusional approach, which sooner or later leads to the poisoning of life itself. It could be said that the card suggests a harsh journey to reality, where delusions fall away. In the shadow realm especially, we see the chance of breaking free of such negative emotions. We are encouraged to look deep into the dark water of our souls and become what we are meant to be. This is the call of destiny that we try to escape so often. And that's for Libra. This will be for Virgo. And we have the 6 of Serpents and Temperance. So the 6 of Serpents, let's see what that has to say. What do we have here? The interpretation of this card has been seen as the giving of gifts to those less well off than us. Some have called this the Robin Hood card, where assets may not always have been come directly, but where there is a desire to pass on the bounty. It represents the shared resources of a society or group, used for the good of all. All communities learn to value the commonwealth of a society which encircles everyone. And the light reading meaning is, perhaps you have come into a windfall and decide to share it, either with deserving friends or a charity of your choice. Alternately, you may be in the process of deciding who shall benefit from your wisdom or who could succeed in your role of authority. It isn't always money that is at issue here. And that's for the Six of Serpents. Then we have Temperance. Let's see what that has to say. Temperance. Is temperance tossing out the contents of a wine glass or a vessel full of snakes? In the world of the dawn of light, it is the former, in twilight the latter, but both are filling a much larger cauldron with either content. Here lies an issue which makes this card perhaps the least well understood in our time, because of its association with refraining from alcohol or excess. Yet we should remember that she is another of the four cardinal virtues, and of course means a great deal more than this, being more concerned with a balanced outlook on life and a restrained way of living. The origin of the word is the Latin temperare, meaning to exchange or mingle. Hence, the traditional tarot image is of a woman pouring liquid from one vessel into another, while here we have made another twist on the original by replacing water and wine with wine and serpents. Even in the classical imagery, the meaning is more to do with the exchange of liquids, the mingling of two streams of energy, or even past and future influences, all to provide greater balance. Temperance thus represents a balanced view of life as capable of renewal, even in the darkest circumstances. And the shadow reading meaning is, the twilight world tells us that living life temperately should not just be about perpetual motion or impulsive action. Instead, it shows us that sometimes it is best to allow the problem to work itself out, whilst an intemperate attitude may drive us to increasingly furious responses, where a more measured approach would be better. We can still look beyond these things. To ignore this approach can result in quarrels, clashes of will, and an increasingly fragmented life, which can lead in turn to illness. The truth of the card is that balance is all important, and that keeping the foot firmly in both worlds is a lot more productive than focusing entirely on one side or the other. I hope you enjoyed that. That reading was for Virgo. This reading is for Aries. And there we have the Three of Cups. And we also have the Two of Cups. Interesting. Let's see what this has to say. The Two of Cups. Sorry, it's the Three of Cups to start in the light card. In the depths of these cups are the seeds of creativity. Words can be used both to inspire and seduce. Music can celebrate the glory of creation. Dancing echoes the movement of the universe. Painting shows us realities we have not always seen before. Wishes may be granted if this is drawn, especially if it occurs in the first three cards laid down. Also indicated is a need to pour out the essence of life and light into all tasks that are undertaken. So that's the basic meaning for the Three of Cups. And the light reading meaning is, if you are a creative person, this is your card. It celebrates your success, supports your vision, and inspires you to even greater heights. It has more to do with celebration than anything. It also speaks of contentment of tasks undertaken joyfully and brought to a satisfactory conclusion. And that is for the Three of Cups. Now we have the Two of Cups in the shadow card. And it says, this card almost always represents love and harmony. The oldest imagery includes two vessels which, when placed side by side, flow into a single stream, nourishing everything around them. Redolent with romance, it shows us how we may navigate the many streams of life to find harmony. The ripples spread outward beyond that of everyday relationships to include the circumstances of our lives. And the shadow reading meaning is, the aspects of choice is also present here, suggesting streams flowing together. The magic of harmonious conjunction points the way to successful events. Traditionally, the card of expectation, anticipation and secret partnerships. Your creative abilities are flowering and drawing attention towards you. That's very nice. 3 of Cups and the 2 of Cups. And that reading was for Aries. This reading is for Taurus. And there we have the 4 of Cups. And also we have the King of Wands. Let's see what the 4 of Cups has to say. A card that represents someone who has climbed the ladder of success and is no longer sure what lies ahead. Doubt and uncertainty may follow. In traditional tarot, the influence of the moon on this card may grow stronger, bringing wonder and strangeness. It also relates very strongly to weddings, engagements and anniversaries. Raising the cup to toast a loved one or to celebrate a long-lived union are all part of this card. And the light reading meaning is, the interpretation of this card stretches all the way from dullness to extremes of boredom. You may feel stressed and weary after too much work. Accept this as a period of rest and reflection and try to believe in yourself. On the positive side, you should enjoy your zest for life, especially in romantic relationships. So that's the 4 of Cups. And then next to it, we also have the King of Wands. So let's see what the King of Wands says. Here we go. King of Wands. The King of Wands is a dazzling figure, a teacher and visionary capable of inspiring everyone who encounters him. In a reading, he often stands for a spiritual elder, one who guides and guards the seeker on his or her journey. However, he has a more negative side, especially in everyday life, where he may seem boastful and egotistical. Despite this, he makes those around him glow with reflected energy. And the shadow reading meaning is, sometimes the king can seem overly fierce and determined in his advocacy, and his stratagems can lead to unexpected reversals. But at his most powerful, he can represent the drive of ambition and the intensity of achievement that all who seek the elusive goal of success require. So we had the 4 of Cups and the King of Wands, and that was for Taurus. This reading will be for Cancer, and there we have the 4 of Wands and the 9 of Swords. So let's see what the 4 of Wands means. Here we go. The 4 of Wands. The 4s in traditional tarot all concern stability, although this can sometimes become stagnation. The 4 of Wands is about coming home to a joyful welcome. It also indicates the unity of a stable society, whether a group of friends or co-workers or a country. For this reason, it is a good idea to establish old alliances which may have fallen into disuse, and to acknowledge the value of friends as well as tried and trusted ideas. And the light card reason meaning is, generally, this card indicates stable conditions of work. We learn of tasks officially sanctioned, conditions agreed. It can also mean a regular trip, usually to a local destination. Regularity is the watchword here, but remember to heed the rules of engagement and try not to become too entrenched. That's the 4 of Wands. Now we've got the Nine of Swords. What is the Nine of Swords saying? Let's have a look. Nine of Swords. There is an aspect of warfare here, sometimes with a close friend, but also within you. Traditionally, the card suggests serious adversity and suffering, even violence towards you. It may indicate coercion, pressure from those around you, or a demand for obligation, which may leave you suffering in silence. Yet there are ways to move beyond this position. Look to the cards that surround this one in the reading. So, the Four of Wands next to the Nine of Swords. And the shadow reading meaning is, the swords present you with a rope ladder out of prison. It may also appear in a reading when you can see another's way out, perhaps someone whom you are close. You are afflicted by anxiety for the other person, but feel the effects of their relief within yourself. And that reading is for Cancer. I hope you enjoyed it. This reading is for Leo. And we have there the Knight of Wands. And also the Magician. So let's see what the Knight of Wands has to say. The Knight of Wands. The character of the Knight reflects that of an adventurer, passionate lover, soldier, and subtle politician. In a reading, it often suggests that you are involved in an exciting affair or a significant enterprise in which you can get carried away. You may be someone who likes to be the centre of attention, but the excitement sometimes persuades you to make rash decisions and to travel away from the road on which you began your journey. And the light reading card meaning is, this night is all about action, an enthusiast who gets passionately caught up in whatever he does. He also likes to do things publicly and may bring a degree of notoriety in his train, but if you follow his lead, he can extend your vision further than you can imagine. And that's for the Knight of Wands. And then the shadow card is the Magician. So let's see what we have to say about the Magician. There are so many magicians: Merlin, Dr. D, Paracelsus, Flamel, Lull and Scott. All are deeply fascinating characters whose wondrous deeds and extraordinary powers both inspire and challenge us. Their ability to change one thing into another, build castles in the air, transport themselves over vast distances and enchant the very flowers and trees is a source of endless fascination. The Magician is as mysterious as he is whimsical. He may test with his tricks, challenge you with conundrums and quiz you with questions in response to your own. An alchemist of words and vision, he twists and turns, mixes and mingles the stuff of dreams and the reality we think is ours. Whether he stands in the sunlight or hides in the twilight, his mood is uncertain and may change in a moment. In the light realm, we see him drawing down the energies of the cosmos into his alembic, distilling its wisdom into a source of day-to-day adventure. In the realm of shadow, he allows the gathered and transformed wisdom to rise into the air, drifting where it will, enlivening and enlightening all who encounter it. And the shadow card reading meaning is, in the shadow realm, the Magician is a darker figure, more trickster than mage, capable of leading us down less frequented paths or calling upon us to ask questions of ourselves that we might not otherwise see. In this way, he offers strange wisdom, the ability to find truth within untruth, to escape the familiar pathway for one that may challenge us to the limit. Sometimes he may simply trick us into realising what we are really seeking, not always what we think we are. Blithe and untroubled, the Magician goes before us into the unknown regions or walks behind us, urging us onward in search of answers to questions we may not know we had asked. And that's the Magician. And that reading was for Leo. Hope you enjoyed this reading. This for Gemini. And there we have the Five of Cups, And we also have Cosmic Mirror. Oh, interesting. What does the Five of Cups have to say? Let's have a look. Five of Cups. The Five of Cups traditionally represents the domain of home, ruled over by women and girls, just as the Six represents the world of men and boys. As with all of 5 cards in the decks, there is a sense of powerfully driven endeavour, which may denote strength, change, and even at times struggle. For those involved in the production of crafts, this is a strong card. The spatter of red from the middle cup of the light realm may either be wine or blood. And the light reading meaning is someone is present who can offer hope to family members through consideration of past events. Sometimes the meaning is less positive, focusing on loss, but it is also about turning points, moments when the right decision may mean everything. And the Cosmic Mirror. What card is the Cosmic Mirror? Let's have a look. The Cosmic Mirror. The Cosmic Mirror cards. You will find 2 of these cards, one in each deck. They are sometimes known as wild cards or carte blanche, white cards. Their purpose is generally to act as markers, guides, which can help you choose a specific card from either deck. Each one depicts a mirror, a blank speculum in which anything may be reflected. They can act as mirrors within the pack, suggesting a movement from light to shadow, morning to evening, dawn to light to twilight. Therefore, if you are using the decks independently of each other, rather than shuffle together, they can prompt you to switch from one deck to another during a reading. If you shuffle them into the pack, you can look for them again and decide if the card either side, coming before or after the Cosmic Mirror card, is significant, perhaps serving as a significator for yourself or an issue you are focusing upon, allowing the twin decks to reflect answers into the empty frame. So it's sort of like the Five of Cups twice, or double the meaning. It could be the Five of Cups going into the Ten of Cups. And that's for Gemini.